Hello friends of the channel. This is the story of a master Sufi that gives the final instructions to his most outstanding student so he can achieve the ultimate liberation. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, a powerful mind awakening. The winds of the young Adrius did not merely blow across the plains of Sufi, they screamed with the agony of a world, transitioning from ice to fire. 12,000 years ago, the sky was a bruised violet, and the stars hung so low they felt like heavy jewels pressing against the brow of humanity. In a hidden sanctuary carved from the living obsidian of a nameless ridge, Master Sufi Shadriel sat in a stillness so profound that spiders had woven webs between his motionless fingers. Before him sat Chogyam, his most gifted student, a man who had spent 20 years learning to breathe without moving his chest. The air in the chamber was thick with the scent of burning cedar and the metallic temps of focused intent. "The hour has come, Chogyam," Sufi whispered. His voice was not a sound, but a ripple in the ether. "The world you see, the the hunger in your belly is a coarse tapestry woven by a blind weaver. To be free, you must unthread the cloth until you find the hand that holds the needle." Sufi leaned forward, his eyes twin voids of infinite depth. "Begin the descent of scales. Do not merely think it. Be the movement." Chogyam closed his eyes. Under his master's guidance, his consciousness detached from his physical frame like a falcon taking flight. He felt himself expand at a terrifying velocity. First, he cast his mind into the absolute space of all existence. He saw the great pleroma, the dark, fertile womb where potentiality sleeps. He saw the breath of the Creator as a shimmering tide, carrying countless universes, like bubbles in a frothing sea. Some universes were vast and cold. Others were tiny, hot pinpricks that collapsed in the time it took him to blink. "Narrow your gaze," Sufi commanded. Chogyam's mind zoomed toward a single, swirling cloud of light, their own universe. He dove through the nebulae, past the pillars of creation, until he found the Milky Way. It was a grand, silver-white spiral, a celestial river of 200 billion suns. He felt the gravity of it, the slow, tectonic grind of galactic arms. Then, he felt the pull of a yellow star, their sun. He spiraled into the solar system, feeling the icy breath of the outer giants and the searing heat of the inner rocks. He plunged toward the planet Earth, a marble of turquoise and emerald wrapped in a thin, fragile veil of air. Closer, Sufi's voice hissed, now sounding as if it came from inside Chogyam's own skull. Chogyam saw the rugged, brown expanse of the continent of Asia. He saw the ice sheets retreating in the north, and the lush river valleys rising in the south. He zeroed in on the land of Sumar, where the Tigris and Euphrates bled into the marshes. He saw the city of Abydos, Aiba of mudbrick and torchlight. He saw his own house, a humble structure of sun-dried clay. He passed through the roof into the kitchen. The smell of dried herbs and wood smoke greeted his astral senses. There, on the kitchen table, sat a single, wrinkled walnut. "Enter the shell," Sufi whispered. Chogyam's mind became a microscopic needle. He saw the walnut expand until it looked like a mountain range of oil and fiber. He focused on 1/10 of the nut, then 1/100th. The textures became alien, like canyons of amber. He reached 1,000th, then 1,000,000th. Suddenly, the solid world shattered. The amber canyons dissolved into a rhythmic vibration. He was looking at the molecular structure of the atom. He saw the electrons as ghosts of probability, flickering in and out of existence. He pushed further past the spinning nuclei, into the terrifying silence of the quantum field of the uncreated. Here, there was no up or down. There was only a humming, golden sea of pure information. Here, Sufi roared in the silence of the void, is the forge of reality. In T's field, a single thought is a command to the cosmos. If you hold a thought here with the weight of a mountain, the physical world must obey. This is the ultimate power, Chogyam, and it is your ultimate cage. Years turned into decades. Chogyam lived as a hermit, but his mind governed the elements. He remained in the state of the quantum weaver. If the crops in the valley withered, Chogyam would descend into the walnut of his mind, touch the uncreated field, and think the rain into existence. He could walk through walls by convincing his atoms they were part of the space they occupied. He had become a god in the skin of a man, but power, even divine power, seeks a vessel. Eventually, a young seeker named Elam arrived at his cave. Elam was brilliant, intense, and carried a hidden grief for a family lost to a tribal raid. Chogyan, seeing his own younger self, began to teach him the descent of scales. The tragedy unfolded on the night of Elam's final initiation. Chogyan guided Elam down through the galaxy, through Sumar, into the kitchen, and finally into the heart of the atom. Now, Elam, Chogyan instructed, reach the uncreated field. Observe, but do not touch. To touch is to tether yourself to the world of form. But Elam's grief was a wild animal. As he reached the golden hum of the quantum field, his mind flickered to the raiders who had killed his kin. He didn't just see them, he felt a surge of pure, unchecked vengeance. Because they were in the forge, the thought didn't just pass. It ignited. Outside the cave, the sky turned a blood red. The ground began to liquefy. The very air around Elam started to crackle with black lightning. He was accidentally rewriting the laws of physics, commanding the atoms of the earth to turn into fire. The city of Abydos, miles away, began to shake as if the planet were trying to vomit its own core. Elam, release it, Chogyan shouted, but the boy was trapped in a feedback loop. The power of the field was amplifying his rage, and his rage was drawing more power from the field. Chogyan realized with a jolt of horror that he had taught Elam how to descend, but he had never taught him how to be the emptiness. If Elam didn't stop, he would inadvertently unmake the continent. Chogyan closed his eyes and performed a feat that Master Sufi had only hinted at in parables. He did not descend. Instead, he expanded without limit. While Elam was focused on the tiny, volatile point of the atom, Chogyan expanded his consciousness until he was the kitchen, until he was Abydos, until he was the Earth, the solar system, and the galaxy. He became the absolute space of all existence. From this vantage point, Elam's apocalyptic rage was nothing more than a tiny, flickering spark in a vast, cold ocean. Chogyan didn't fight the fire. He simply became the water that surrounded it. He felt the vengeance thought trying to tear through reality, and he wrapped it in his infinite patience. In a moment of supreme mystical irony, Chogyan realized that to save the world, he had to give up his existence as a separate being. E Kulente be Chogyan, the master. Anymore, he had to be the void itself. The cave exploded in a silent flash of white light. When the sun rose over the obsidian ridge the next morning, Elam woke up on the cold stone floor. He was alive. The city of Abydos was safe, but his mind was quiet. The rage had been washed away, leaving him with a sense of profound, hollow peace. He looked for his master, but Chogyan was gone. No body, no ashes, no footprint. Elam walked to the center of the cave. There, on a small stone ledge that served as a table, sat a single walnut. Elam picked it up. It felt impossibly heavy, yet light as air. As he looked at it, he heard a faint, echoing laugh, the voice of Sufi, and the voice of and the voice of the wind, all merged into one. Chogyan had achieved ultimate liberation. He hadn't just reached the field. He had become the field. He was no longer the one who meditated on the universe. He was the universe meditating on itself.